XXXTentacion is an American rapper, singer, and songwriter. In a short amount of time, XXXTentacion rose to the top of the hip-hop industry and claimed the throne for himself. His ascent from SoundCloud rapper to hip-hop superstar is one filled with both triumphant success and bitter controversy. This video details his rise in the hip-hop industry and examines the chain of events that led to his conquering of the throne. An explanation of what it means to hold the throne, and a dissection of why XXXTentacion holds that title with such a short time in comparison to his counterparts. It also details the impact of his actions during this time and their effect on his success as well as his reputation. The social climate of the United States has always played a defining role in the tastes and preferences of its culture's consumers, and music is no exception. From Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit to Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, the discussions and thoughts of the country's citizens have been reflected in the music they listen to. The most pronounced influence has belonged to the young adult demographic, with each generation having their own defining artists, who embody the thoughts and feelings of the era. For the current generation, no artist fits this description more than XXXTentacion. A quick glance at his listener demographics on Spotify will show that close to 80% of his listeners are under the age of 30. A grand majority of these listeners, the defining Trump-era generation, are tired of the status quo with much disdain for the government, as well as racial biases. On a broad scale, XXXTentacion embodies these feelings and ideals. His arrest history as well as his wildly publicized appearance changes call into question the competency of modern-day justice and the acceptability of racial bias. This paired with his music and public speaking has made him a voice for the youth in today's political climate. This being the target audience of modern hip-hop, it is clear to see why XXXTentacion has risen to prominence so quickly. XXXTentacion's career was cultivated primarily through music uploading platforms such as SoundCloud and YouTube. Thus, his fan base was generated through the internet first, and thus he was a product of the digital age of music. His banger hit Look at Me was released in December 2015. It created a huge wave of mixed emotions from its audience, some of shock, horror, and pleasure. This was due to the seemingly simple fact that the song was raucous and unapologetic. Many listeners had trepidations to play the song in public, though it seemed everyone did. After the song reached a myriad of listens, the name XXXTentacion was subsequently ever more present on the internet. This song had set the stage for XXXTentacion's next big hit, What in XXXTentacion. Just like before, the song was raucous and quite similar to Look at Me. The difference in this case was that the song was a collaborative effort with rapper Ski Mask the Slump God. Both artists had shared similar styles of music and had already been friends in the past, though they have had a falling out. The song being a hit had fans hopeful that the two artists would come together and make music as a duo. Unfortunately, the song was leaked before its official release and would cause a fallout between the two artists so bad that there would be tensions sparked through diss tracks and subliminal tweets to one another. More and more we are beginning to see artists come out and reject the mumble rap or turn-up trend that has been seen since the emergence of trap music. J. Cole, another artist that has been known for bringing conscious rap into the mainstream, took inspiration from XXXTentacion to create the song 1985. This song is directed at Lil Pump, who is an artist that represents the exact sound that XXXTentacion and others are scraping away from. He warns the young artist about the road he is taking and has said in interviews that the character within the song is more important than the person he is directly addressing because he represents many young rappers in the industry right now. XXXTentacion is a representation of a new wave of artists that are beginning to reject the cliché portrayal of a rap artist commonly seen within today's music industry. In an interview with 50, he was questioned about the industry and if it's less about the music, and he responded with being a traditional artist, it's not about the music anymore. It's about the hype, the money, the materialistic things that really don't matter in the end, and a lot of people realize after they get that. XXXTentacion's unique style of music has given birth to a new era and subgenre within the hip-hop industry. His ability to produce diverse music that still carries meaningful lyrics provides a new sound that has started a wave of similar artists looking to express more than your typical trap artist creates. This has allowed for a platform for underground or internet rappers to become more accessible and accepted within hip-hop. XXXTentacion has carved out a niche in the industry as far as music quality goes. His sound is a far cry from the usual trap beats and addicting choruses popularized on the platform. His music style is quite eclectic, encompassing an array of genres from heavy metal to indie, and an infusion of punk and grunge rock. The artist cites Nirvana, The Fray, 3 Days Grace, and Chimera as some of his musical inspirations, which is interesting given his early work producing music for rappers. He describes his music as alternative rather than rap, and wishes to break the confines of what hip-hop should sound like. He showed an extension to his range with the song I Don't Wanna Do This Anymore, demonstrating some soft acoustic guitar with bleak, introspective lyrics, as well as with RU and combining aggressive lyrics and delivery with a heavy metal instrumental. This kind of variety in his music makes for some stark contrast between songs. His rap songs contain very confrontational lyrics and loud, DIY production conveying anger and aggression, with periodic instances of audio clipping. His lyrical content takes a very dark turn when dealing with themes such as depression and self-loathing, which are common themes in his music. His emo-leaning songs usually contain crooned vocals and a more melodic, guitar-based instrumental. X showcased this side of him on his The Fall EP, and once again later in his career with his folk and rock-inspired 17 tape. This change in tone and varying styles of music typically aren't well received by the masses, and X frequently receives a lot of hate for deviating away from hard rap, but his core fans appreciate his musical venturing and ability to make an emotive, atmospheric song regardless of genre or style. Having established a more general framework, we can get into more specific details of X's music, starting with his approach to blending genres. X's recent explosion in popularity can be linked to a combination of his look, controversial personality, and most importantly, his widespread appeal attributed to the diversity in his music. Upon contemplating his recent album, X describes his main goal being to essentially create a more positive album for the sake of his listeners. What is most notable about this statement is the change in sound and mood that the entire album embodies compared to his previous works. Attempting to pinpoint a specific genre that X belongs to is incredibly difficult, as he frequently works between rap, rock, emo, and electronic music. Songs that come to mind are What Are You So Afraid Of, a soft and summer acoustic song that sits on the verge of folk music. Others being the rock-influenced I Don't Let Go and the electronic, dubstep hit Reproach. In succeeding to push these different genres, X creates a space for listeners of all walks of life, something that can be further reflected on in the shows of support he's received after his hiatus. XXXTentacion's music incorporates a strong theme of coping with depression and suicidal thoughts, heavily influenced by the indie rock that he listened to during his childhood. The concept of depression goes hand in hand with raw emotion, in which he portrays several types of pain. This initial punk and emo influence on Tentacion is what, in my opinion, gives him such a unique emotional and raw lyrical style. The way he screams bars down the mic with a sense of urgency, and the hoarse raw voice he uses at many times creates a very powerful emotion. Just listening to a track like Let's Pretend We're Numb, in which he utilized the Sugar's indie rock instrumental, there is a powerful link of emotive lyricism with his melancholic trap approach. His lyrics in this track describe a sort of love-hate struggle with a past relationship, and there has been a philosophical perspective put into the track in which he tries to depict the duality of man and human emotion. This is a good example of the type of song that he made with an indie style of emotion and deep meaning, despite the crude mixing and atmospheric recording giving a significantly unpolished sound. Any real fan of Tentacion knows about his long underrated XXX Unmastered era, in which he created a large variety of lo-fi and indie rock music. His SoundCloud audience at the time expected him to become a rockstar artist, and the power of his emotion tracks really created his strong cult following today. Even when creating the lo-fi track I Spoke to the Devil in Miami, he said everything would be fine. You can see his folk emotionally charged style with deep and thought-provoking lyrics about introspection into his personal state of mind and how it has conflicted with his state of happiness. This is the track that many fans consider to be XXXTentacion's absolute peak of emotive lyricism. The powerful meaning behind the title and the fantasy allegory used in this song has a deep, dark, philosophical tone. Tentacion has stated that making this song was in an effort to cleanse himself. XXXTentacion has become notorious for his unconventional methods of producing, known to have used unorthodox styles of creating music. Upon entering an exclusive agreement with Capitol Music Group in October, XXXTentacion stated that he was working on 3 albums: I Need Jesus, Revenge, and 17. He even claimed that he would make music strictly for the purpose of promotion and to support his fans. With this new development, it is evident that XXXTentacion aims to maintain a constant flow of music and maintain his member and fan base. As of January 20, 2017, XXXTentacion stated that he would stop making music after his next album. This information sparked much controversy and distraught among his followers. Considering the tumultuous career X has had thus far, this could be interpreted in a multitude of ways, considering his legal issues and sporadic violent behavior. With the limited time he has left in the music industry, it would be wise to expect more music with raw emotional content. You should expect to see more music similar to his recent releases to compensate his fans with new and innovative styles. The stabbing incident was a big point of discussion, as it is alleged that it is connected to rapper Rob $Tone, who had a hit song in the summer of 2017 called Chill Bill, which X claims was stolen from his own style. The charges for the domestic violence case involved strangulation and false imprisonment of his then-girlfriend, which have gotten him into more legal trouble. The abuse took place in early 2016 while XXXTentacion was awaiting trial for a separate home invasion case when he served time in jail. The most recent issue involves X being placed under house arrest after violating his bond stemming from additional charges he's facing for allegedly assaulting a pregnant woman. He was later released in March of 2017. All of these issues have led X to be no stranger to the inside of a jail cell and are a strong contrast to the positivity his fans often associate him with. A good amount of his fan base is constantly wishing for him to stay out of trouble and not dig himself into a deeper hole. This is ironic due to X often promoting the idea that nobody should be like him and that he himself is a terrible person. Throughout XXXTentacion's career, he has developed a very controversial persona by displaying a multitude of different behaviors. Among those behaviors includes his ongoing legal issues, his connection with fans and vulnerability in his music, as well as his influence on youth culture. XXXTentacion has a large amount of legal issues stemming from domestic violence charges to an ongoing court case for a stabbing that allegedly happened at a show in 2016. On October 8th, the hip-hop world was taken by storm as charges for his heinous 2016 domestic abuse case were officially announced. Prosecutors claimed he beat his pregnant girlfriend at the time, nearly to death. They also stated he witnessed tampered by trying to bribe her into deleting the evidence off of her phone, going so far as to say he wishes to play the tape until their memories are happy, and then it could come up again. This, of course, cost him a spot on the 50 freshman list in 2017. He was immediately taken into custody, and at the time of writing this, he is currently awaiting trial. X ended the year with another tirade on social media, claiming he was quitting music forever, though he later recanted this decision. His time in the media continued to snowball even before the release of the album. He went on social media to address the situation with Ski Mask the Slump God. An old friend and collaborator of XXXTentacion claimed that Ski Mask had abandoned him in his time of need, indirectly stating that Ski Mask showed no sympathy for the problems he was facing. The irrational antics didn't stop there. On the day of his court hearing, he live-streamed the rant to his fans. He yelled and cursed at the screen, claiming he had everyday society more or less wrapped around his finger. He also hired an old man to be hanged in the controversial music video for the album's lead single Look At Me. This alone sparked a huge amount of backlash not only from fans but entire communities that fight for equality and compassion for all people. All of this is merely the tip of the iceberg. There was an undeniable link between XXXTentacion and his legion of fanatical supporters. The fans of XXXTentacion weren't interested in run-of-the-mill interviews. They didn't care for music analysis or breakdowns. The media-trained fans of today want scripted interactions and left sated and bored from an interview that wouldn't stand out from any other interview. XXXTentacion created a cult following by simply being himself and letting people into his psyche. People were drawn to the raw emotion and rage that they shared inside themselves but kept bottled up. Throughout his career, 30 had waxed philosophical on his outlook on life, mental state, and the malevolence of both society and public perception. These themes were littered throughout his music, but half of the allure of his message was hearing him speak directly on these issues. 30's perceptive wisdom and unfiltered hate towards past aggressions and injustices prompted his fans to take his word as gospel. They felt that it was a call to arms for all young people to right the wrongs in their life, escape from claims of irredeemability, and prove the doubters and the naysayers wrong. This communion between artist and listener planted a deep-seated emotional investment in his message for his fans. If XXXTentacion was to solidify his message, he'd have to show that he himself is living reparation of his mindset and near unbreakable will. He would later accomplish this through an act of charity as well as an even greater act of humility. While the effects of music media are not as well documented, most will agree that it certainly is influential. He said firsthand that he wants to change the youth into positive people and that they should rebel against their oppressors in non-violence. He later added on that he did not follow his philosophy due to the thought of it not being marketable, interesting, or captivating, and that the youth do not want to listen to something positive. This is evident as he is constantly engaging in activities that are less than favorable to impressionable youth. However, his message rings clear to the oppressed and his troubled youth. His emotional outbursts of depression, loneliness, and fear are of those that cry out for emotional support. He needs an adult figure to take him by the hand and tell him it's okay. His ability to later reflect on what he has become and what he is doing is an important step. He is a role model to those who are stricken by poverty and incorrigible circumstances. He speaks to the millions that are lost, misguided, and unloved. His story and his music are a fire that refuses to ever be put out, the same fire that burns inside the youth who have known little else but pain. The 2011 Pediatrics article Media Violence by Dartmouth Medical School psychiatrists published a comprehensive study on the effect of TV violence on 6,500 children. One group was studied for 17 years. During that period, a high level of TV violence viewing was compared to other risk factors for aggressive and violent behavior. These risk factors included IQ, socioeconomic status, neglectful parenting, and criminal parents. High TV violence viewing was the only risk factor consistently associated with an increased risk of later repeat. High TV violence viewing, on the other hand, revealed a decreased risk in aggressive behavior. This is due to the cathartic emotional release peaceful, happy, and less aggressive children felt. They concluded that these children build up a tolerance towards violence. Adjectives that describe youth culture nowadays are rebellious and violent. According to National Public Radio, XXXTentacion's song Look At Me is short, brutal, and direct, addressing European exploitation of African nations. Adult critics were repulsed, but second-generation listeners seemed to respond better to direct aggression and his Look At Me and see the real me attitude. Today's youth, now more than ever, are desensitized to sex and violence due to mass media. Controversial persona and public image have always been two aspects that have greatly fascinated the public when it comes to this captivating individual. Their ability to incite debate and stir up conversations with their provocative behavior has continuously kept them in the spotlight, captivating the attention of people from all walks of life. However, it is important to note that such behavior has not gone without consequences, as this individual has found themselves entangled in numerous legal issues throughout their career, further adding to the already controversial nature surrounding them. Despite their enigmatic disposition, this individual possesses a remarkable skill when it comes to connecting with their fans on a deeply personal level. It is through this connection that their vulnerability truly shines, allowing their supporters to see them through a different lens altogether. This authenticity and transparency forge an unbreakable bond between this individual and their fanbase, creating an unparalleled sense of loyalty and devotion. Not only does this influential figure possess the power to connect with their fanbase, but their impact on youth culture is truly undeniable. The influence that they exert on the younger generation reaches far beyond the realms of mere entertainment, as their actions or words actively shape the very fabric of this demographic. They serve as role models for the youth, guiding and inspiring them through their formative years. In conclusion, this individual's controversial persona and public image have undoubtedly left a profound mark on society. From their provocative behavior and legal troubles to their unique ability to connect with their fans and showcase vulnerability, they remain an influential force in the world of entertainment. Moreover, their significant influence on youth culture solidifies their status as a prominent figure for generations to come and ensures that their impact will continue to shape the world we live in. Posthumous releases and success. XXXTentacion's first release after his death was Skins. This album was almost totally completed when he was killed, as the only song on it that was finished after his death was 1 minute. Skins dropped on December 7, 2018 and had some success, as was expected for anything X-related dropping in the wake of his death. Some fans were a bit disappointed with the amount of content on it, as it had only 10 songs and they were quite short, not to mention it was put together and released hastily to fulfill a contractual obligation. The same sort of situation surrounded 7, a 4-song EP released on January 23, 2019. The main attraction of 7 was the lead single, Whoa, which was a quintessential X song. However, X's first challenging and truly posthumous album was announced on his Instagram, and its track list was found in a note he made on his iPhone on November 26, 2017. The album Code was released on March 16, 2018 and was X's most diverse album, showcasing his versatility and successfully finding a balance between representing what kind of sound he wanted while still putting out a marketable album. His challenging music experiment was short-lived. 4 is planned to be his last challenging album, as he stated that he was changing his sound and going to only make pop music after it dropped. On December 4, 2019, the first X album posthumously released after dropped. This album was called Bad Vibes Forever. Posthumous releases are an odd thing, a final grapple at any scrap of attention and tribute to a legacy. They carry a heavy burden. The artist is gone and their music will never be the same. Now comes their life's work left entirely on its own. XXXTentacion has had a heap of posthumous music. In 2018, they announced a fresh album titled Skins, which was eventually released in December the same year. The record was short, straight to the point, and brought the story of 30's life full circle, focusing on mental health issues, feelings of alienation, and a profound sense of self-importance. It was the self-conscious style that the rapper had used to alternatively repulse and fascinate the public in his lifetime. Lyricism was extremely simple and repetitive, with a lot of what was said but was incredibly resonant. Skins would top charts worldwide and bring new attention to the artist's work after the negative light it had been left in because of his offenses in the public eye. In 2019, his label announced a documentary detailing the life and career of Jose Onfroy, X's birth name. It promised to share an honest look at the rise and fall of the rapper and a chance to learn the backstories to many of his songs. Features with music elitist Oscar-nominated director Michael Goen and award-winning music video director Andrew Sandler had fans eager to see the product. Due to the global state with COVID-19, the film still has no release date but is very anticipated and could be a final shining light at an otherwise tarnished name. The most successful of posthumous music was without a doubt X's final album simply titled Bad Vibes Forever, also his inescapable philosophy on life. Released in December 2019, it was an eclectic mix of sounds and genres covering all styles X had previously dabbled in. With genres from hip-hop and trap to punk rock and heavy metal, it was a true taste of reinvented X. Boasting a heap of features from some of today's and yesterday's biggest names in music, the album shot to widespread popularity and was met by a wave of nostalgia in fans. These albums and their reception have confirmed X's place in music. His lasting influence on the industry and audience for the next generation will see his music forever loved and appreciated. It has given a whole new audience something exciting, a bittersweet feeling of having new music to love from an artist no longer living. His posthumous success and release of Skins, as well as the upcoming album, Bad Vibes Forever, will also greatly contribute to his lasting impact on hip-hop as he has influenced a wide array of the next generation upcoming hip-hop stars. In terms of songwriting and release quality, it's arguable that Skins was rushed to release. Being his first posthumous album release under his label, Bad Vibes Forever and Empire, it comes just short of 1 year after his death. The album is 10 tracks and contains various different genres including EDM for songs like Staring at the Sky or acoustic, indie for songs like Difference. While Skins was somewhat a cash grab, it is still a new taste of X in terms of genres and may be an indication of his branching direction in music at the time of his passing. With various features like Kanye West and alleged U2 for the song School Shooters, it is also suggested that this release was somewhat of an attempt to get more attention to the X and his label as a means of additional elevation in success. Bad Vibes Forever is more of an ambivalent case as until late 2019, nearing the year of the alleged release, it was not disclosed whether or not this album was to be a compilation of unreleased music. This question was answered with the release of Royalty featuring Ky-Mani Marley, Vybz Kartel, and Stefflon Don in July 2019. With encouragement from Vybz and attestation from John Cunningham, a lead producer for the song Train Food, it's confirmed that this album will contain a large amount of features from other artists, and not just solely X's music. Although this concept has tarnished popular music with music like Skins, it is still a norm with how modern music is released today. Famed artist Lil Uzi Vert has been suffering from label issues for over a year regarding the release of the album Eternal Attic, and an unreleased Young Thug song titled Proud of You is the first song from the high-profile collaboration with Future that has been confirmed. Bad Vibes Forever has the potential to sway the influx in modern music releases in a positive light given X's influence, and the quality his popularity has the potential to sustain. This album being X's last chance to showcase what his brand was, coupled with his large influence on a contemporaneous artist's success, may end up being an homage to X featuring a large scope of artists, or just another modern album with plenty of features. Despite the uncertainty, the release of Bad Vibes Forever will be as much a huge impact as Skins as it will be another chance to show the growth of X's musical style until his passing, and once again, the impact and influence from that of his brand. This extended release of X's music following his untimely death is what will have the most and lasting impact on the next generation of hip-hop artists. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into how XXXTentacion claimed the hip-hop throne. His unique style and raw talent have undeniably left a lasting impact on the genre. If you enjoyed this journey through his career and influence, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more music insights. Remember, the world of hip-hop is vast and ever-evolving, and artists like XXXTentacion are testament to its dynamic nature. Until next time, keep the beats playing and stay tuned for more exciting content.